Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. This is the 25th video in the Learning and Evolving from Past Practitioner series. A video series that aims to introduce important historical figures in the internal style for martial arts and Shudao practice. 2 weeks ago, I revised the format for this series. If I noticed any videos in this series had more comments that needed further elaboration, so I would create a follow-up video for them. For example, the video on Sun Lutang, I created a follow-up video for it. Today's follow-up video is for Liu Ruidong, the important figure that I introduced last week. So, if you have not watched last week's video introducing Liu Ruidong, you can find the link in the description. Today, I will answer some questions posted on that video. Let's get started. Andrew says, quote, I have a few questions. Is the Tai Chi 13 Elixir form a Ji Fu Gong? Sorry, I don't understand this term, okay? For the 5 elements feast routine, or is it a separate practice? Is there a current day banner holder for this style of Tai Chi? End quote. Thank you, Andrew. The 13 Elixir method of Tai Chi, passed down by Liu Ruidong, is the practice method that is independent from the Tai Chi 5-element feast and focuses on cultivating internal energy or qi. I learned this method when I was young, and it truly is an excellent method for qi cultivation. This routine is the part of the overall system of Li style Tai Chi, but it is not a part of the 5-element feast techniques. Instead, it serves as a supplementary practice to them. And for the so-called banner holder or a recognized leader or lineage holder currently, no one claims that title. This is likely because this particular style isn't very widespread at this moment, and there is no publicly acknowledged leading figure. This situation may be due to the system being overly complex and containing too much materials. No one has fully mastered all of the content. This also indicates that the style needed to be systematically organized. Otherwise, if people mistakenly believe that Li style Tai Chi is just the 5-element feast routine, they would be completely misunderstanding it. Therefore, I hope that practitioners of this style will take this initiative to properly organize and present it, so that this highly refined and complete system can be better promoted. Andrew, I hope my answer helps. Let's move on to the next question. OferJRL asks, quote, can you elaborate on what it means by disengagement? Also, can you explain more what it means in this context? Mysterious gate. Does this concept and the practice relate and connect to Neidan practice? End quote. Thank you, OferJRL. Li, which means disengage, is the opposite of zhan or sticky. As we all know, Tai Chi places great emphasis on the concept of stickiness, that is, maintaining contact between one's force and the opponent's body for a relatively extended period. It's like when a part of my body, such as my hand, moves together with a part of the opponent's body, such as their arm. This is an ideal combative state pursued in various Tai Chi styles, and it represents one of the fundamental expressions of Tai Chi's internal force. However, in Li style Tai Chi, Li or disengage refers to a method where if the opponent uses sticking energy to adhere to my body, I then apply Li style Tai Chi's Fajin, or explosive force, to compel the opponent, who is sticking to me, to be thrown off or forced away. This effect is achieved through the release of power, or Fajin, which is why Li style Tai Chi places such strong emphasis on developing and applying power. These characteristics may be due to the fact that Li style Tai Chi organized in Tianjin, a region where martial arts, regardless of the school, tend to place great importance on Fajin. Liu Ruidong's Tai Chi is the prime example of this. Therefore, overall, training in Fajin within Tai Chi is aimed at achieving the effect of Li, or disengagement, thus enabling one to counter the opponent's seeking energy. And for the term mysterious gate, also known as Qimen, it originally comes from the I Ching and the Bagua traditions and refers to not taking the direct or obvious route, instead opting for surprise to gain for the upper hand. This is different from the Taoist alchemy term Xuanguan, or mysterious gate, which I have introduced and talked about in many of my Shudao videos, and the two should not be confused. OferJRL, I hope my answer helps. Let's move on to the next question. CharlesBryant comments, quote, Li Ruidong challenged the Baji Quan Grandmaster Li Shu Wen. They later exchanged techniques. Li Shu Wen was so impressed, he modified how he taught Baji Quan, end quote. Thank you, CharlesBryant, for this interesting comment. To make this part of history clear, I'd like to explain it further. Li Shu Wen is one of the most pivotal figures in the history of Baji. It can be said that without Li Shu Wen, Baji would not have gained the popularity and the development it achieved later on. Li Shu Wen, born in 1862, died in 1934. Courtesy name Tongchen, was from Cangzhou, Hebei province. He was a highly renowned martial artist during the late Qing dynasty and the early Republican period, famed throughout the martial world. He was skilled in Baji, Pigua, and Liu He Daqiang, or Sixth Harmony Spear, and was nicknamed Li Shu Wen, the divine spear of Liu He, or Liu He Qiang Shen. He is considered one of the most reliable documented top-level external martial artists in Chinese martial art history. As a child, Li Shu Wen studied Baji under the famous master Zhang Jingxing, and later trained in the spear with his elder martial uncle Huang Shihai. It is said that he could spear a fly on the wall without leaving a mark, earning him the nickname Divine Spear, or Shen Qiang. In his later years, Li Shu Wen lived in the home of a relative in Tianjin. His story and legacy are well known in Tianjin's martial art community. Drawing from his own combat experience and deep understanding of martial principles, Li Shu Wen constantly refined and elevated his art, eventually forming a new system of Baji. He dedicated his life to the rigorous study and practice of martial arts, unifying various styles of Baji and reviving its formidable reputation. He also integrated techniques and strengths from various other martial arts schools into Baji, raising its overall level. Notably, through a close exchange of skills with Li Ruidong, he learned the Vajra 8 forms or 金刚八式, Tai Chi and others, all of which he then absorbed into Baji. This marked the complete establishment of a comprehensive Baji training and combat system, pushing the art to its peak with greater scientific rigor and structure. It is worth noting that Li Ruidong had studied under the Shaolin monk Long Chan, whose martial techniques were quite different from those commonly seen. These were known as the Shaolin Inner Corridor Secret Method, also referred as the aforementioned OferJRL 8 forms. Therefore, the Baji passed down by Li Shu Wen contains elements of the OferJRL 8 forms and other techniques taught to him by Li Ruidong. All of this took place in Tianjin, which is why the martial arts community there is particularly familiar with this development. CharlesBryant, I hope my answer helps our community understanding your comments better if you agree with what I said here. Let's move on to the next question. Outerlast says, quote, for question, I'd like to ask why this style is not as popular known as the other 6 Tai Chi style, if there's any unwritten reason for that. End quote. Thank you for this question, Outerlast. This is a very complex issue, especially when it comes to why Li Ruidong's Tai Chi did not attract more attention early on, and particularly why it was not recognized earlier as one of the major Tai Chi styles. I don't want to make various assumptions about it, because history is history. What has already happened is difficult to explain clearly with just 1 or 2 hypotheses. However, I would like to add a few points on this matter, which may also serve as a kind of a reflection on Chinese martial arts as a whole. To become a recognized school or style, a martial art must first have a strong foundation of notable practitioners. After Li Ruidong, although there were many practitioners of his Tai Chi in Tianjin, their connections with one another were not very close. In particular, most of the disciples in Tianjin did not make a living by teaching martial arts. Naturally, this would have had a limiting effect on the spread and promotion of this style. Also, people from Tianjin have always been low-key and modest, unlike those from Beijing. They are not inclined to boast or make a show of things when it comes to martial arts. The birthplace of modern wushu demonstrates it very well. Moreover, after 1949, when the government began systemizing Tai Chi, the primary focus was on styles that had previously been popular in Beijing. On those Tai Chi styles that had a presence in the capital were likely to be selected, especially under the leadership of figures like Li Tianji and other later Tai Chi experts. They chose to promote Sun Lutang's Tai Chi as one of the main styles, while Li's style Tai Chi was excluded, likely due to the ignorance of those government officials involved in the decision-making process. Every time I think about this, I feel that those responsible for organizing and standardizing Tai Chi at that time were not only ignorant, but also deeply biased. And that statement is not a hypothesis, it is a matter of historical fact. Outerlast, I do not want to elaborate on it further, otherwise I may be perceived as politically incorrect. I hope my answer helps. Before the end of this video, let's watch a demonstration. The name of the form is the Li style Tai Chi Crazy Devil Palm or 李派太极疯魔掌, showing a very nice soft 发劲. So, that was all for today. I hope this follow-up video will clarify some misunderstandings, help practitioners understand Liu Ruidong and his practice better. That brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you all found today's topic interesting and informative. Please post any further questions about Liu Ruidong, his practice and his lineage in the comment section. I will answer them for you in the first part of next week's video. Thanks for watching. See you next time and enjoy your practice.